So the frost tree is absolute trash, and I'll talk about why. I had a couple of different mage builds kind of built out for this, but then as time went on, I've tried recording this a couple times. I just kind of deleted them all from trying to change them because nothing works. So let me recap a couple of the major problems that the frost tree has. For one, it's too segmented, right? You're forced to get some talents in areas where you don't want to go down, right? You need Flurry has 2 charges because they actually did nothing, literally nothing, to alleviate the proc drought that you might have when you don't get a brain freeze proc. All they did was guarantee that you'll have 2 at the start of a poll, and you have to take 4 talents to just have a normal flurry, and they're not even connected, right? This is all the way down here from that, and I mean, you shouldn't have to take 4 talents for flurry to work, right? And you can literally get a gimped version of flurry when this whole charge system is meant to reduce the variance in flurry, but you can get a gimp version because it's incredibly viable to not take 2 flurry charges in AoE potentially, but you kind of can't do that for any of the builds. So there's 2 3-point choices here, but okay, the main egregious thing, aside from this choice node, which is 100% increased damage on something that is less than 3% by damage in single target, or a core function of our AoE, and then this 3-point talent that you have to take to get down to Icy Veins, unless you want to take full AoE one, is completely passive increased damage, but required to take if you want to go, say, Slick Ice or Cold Front. The other problem is they just threw all our dead talents into the tree with no changes. Ray of Frost is here. It's the only way to get from Icy Veins down to a Glacial Spike build. You don't want Ray of Frost. It's trash. They didn't even make it affect Splain Ice, so it wouldn't be good even if they did that because it has such a long cooldown. Ebon Bolt exists with no changes, dead talent. They have Summon Water Elemental, but Bone Chilling's over here. So the only thing you gain from Summon Water Elemental is a mediocre amount of single target damage, so less single target damage than you already had. Potentially whatever like Water Jet is, which is 1 brain freeze stack, but that's, I don't know, I didn't read the blue post. And then off the GCD freeze, which realistically doesn't matter unless you're doing kind of cold. So it's just you can't get Thermal Void and 2 other capstones. You can only get Thermal Void and 1 other capstone, which just means you're getting Thermal Void and potentially Cold Front or Thermal Void and Slick Ice, which you need Cold Front to make this a viable build option in AoE. You need it. This doesn't work in AoE without it. Icy Propulsion is single target only, so Comet Storm's an AoE only talent essentially, so it doesn't matter if you take it or not because it counts as AoE damage only. And this is actually a higher value than we currently have with 278 Enhanced Conduit, which is fine because you need it. You're gonna have far worse cooldown reduction on Icy Veins without Comet Storm or Frozen Orb applying to it. So I went over here just because Splain Ice, it's 5% increased damage. I think Icicle damage is kind of good. This just gives you more Fingers of Frost chances. And you can't remove this because you need to throw points somewhere to get single target, and this is bad single target, is what I've heard. I don't know what this is. It's just not put in there. So, in general, I think there's too many talents that just passively increase Frostbolt and Ice Lance damage. This is 3 points for that. This is 1 point for that. I'm going to count that. This is 2 points for that, and this is another 2 points for that. Right, that's 8 points. You have it to take a second Shadow rank 2. That's fine. I don't mind that, but Lash Freeze, this is not enough to make Glacial Spike viable, most likely. So the fact that Icy Veins is split up into essentially, what is this, 6 talents? I suppose 7 if you count Slick Ice, then it's pretty bad. You could do something like this, right, to just have kind of a sustained AoE damage playstyle, but you have to change this to get your improved Blizzard and your Snowstorm. And what are you going to do? Remove Lonely Winter when you... I mean, I don't even have the cleave Frostbolt, so I guess it doesn't matter. But like, this is a huge amount of single target to give up to take just a normal amount of AoE. and you would just have to give splay nice, I suppose, is what you do. You just give up this whole side area for that. That's, I mean, you wouldn't even be doing more AoE damage than if you don't have splay nice at most target counts. So they didn't do anything for the brain freeze proc drought, right? Fingers frozen touch works the same way it does now, I imagine, where it's only essentially like a 6% increase. There's nothing like enhanced power techniques for fire, where each frostbolt you cast gives you an increased chance to proc flurry or any proc when you didn't proc one before, which should be in. Flurry has a 40-second recharge for some reason, and I've read that apparently, this it resets the remaining cooldown flurry instead of giving you a charge. The reason it probably does this is because the 2 charge is so far away, but this means that when you reset your flurry, if you had 10 seconds left on its recharge, it's just going to give you 1 charge and still 40 seconds left till the next charge, instead of just behaving like, literally anything else does with charges, where it just gives you a charge, which it should. That should just give you a charge. Resetting the cooldown is horrible. I don't know. I don't think we talked about the class tree, but you know, Cauterize should be on here. That's what I'm gonna say. Aside from that, I think the in talent trees in capstone traits are disappointing. Who won in Meteor? Like, this is, I don't know. And the reality is, you'll remove this for Ice Nova in AoE because Meteor is just, it does no damage in AoE compared to this, which actually freezes things. And this also probably does no damage in AoE because it's square root scaling beyond one target, but at least it freezes things. So, you can get a little bit extra shadow damage in. So, I don't even really have any other talents to go because, I'm just trying to figure out a way to get Cold Front, Slick Ice, and Thermal Void doesn't exist. And you can't, take all the Frostbolt talents that you want to actually get there. So this is, I mean, I've described the problems with it, right? So this talent, this talent just shouldn't exist. Delete it. Move this to the center. This shouldn't be a choice node. Focus Frost is trash. Improved Blizzard should be the 9.1 version. Ray Frost, delete from the tree. Make more connections here. This and this should be combined. This, you can leave it here, but no one's going to take it. Chain Reaction, throw it somewhere at the top of the tree. Make it so you can get Thermal Void and 2 other capstone traits, so Slick Ice and Cold Front in particular. But, yeah. I mean, that's all I really have to say. Like, Flurry, it shouldn't be 4 talent nodes, right? It should only be like 2. But this is quite disappointing. I mean, I've heard the Fire one is also pretty bad, so I suppose that's lovely to hear. Is at least another spec got shafted as hard as this is. Arcane also, I mean, just looking at it really fast, you can't take the increased Arcane Orb charges and Harmonic Echo and Arcane Harmony, which means that you just don't have the more interesting mechanic this would allow for. So, yeah. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on the talent tree in the comments below, and guess we'll hear something about this maybe next week. I'll continue looking at this a lot and seeing what I can do about it. Maybe I'll make a video on the other specs as well, but this is definitely discouraging to see. So, very discouraging. Anyway, have a good day.